All right, number 9. Number 9 is definitely a challenge. Kind of a little bit of a different problem, but yeah, we've done one like this on the Kahoot, and we've seen some similar ones on the assignments. Um, and so anyway, so basically we're given this function here, right? And by the way, this doesn't have anything to do with the directions on the previous question, which sometimes they kind of overlap over, but this is its own question, and this is all the directions you need. So we have this function y, right? Definitely see we have a function within a function, right? So we have some chain rule implications here. And so they give us f of -2, they give us dy dx, and they get when x equals -2, and then they ask for f prime at -2, right? So all of these we're trying to figure out something when x equals -2, right? But we really want to ignore that for now, because what we're trying to evaluate is the derivative when x equals -2. So we want to find the derivative first. So always make sure you find the derivative before you start plugging in values. Okay, so I want to find the derivative of this, which is also known as dy dx, right? Okay, so I'll find the derivative of this. So first I'm going to do the derivative of the outer function, right? I have this exponent here, so the outer function is the exponent, or so we're going to do power rule here. So it's going to be 4 times f of x plus 16 over x squared, right? So it didn't change the inside. Once again, don't change the inside. And then to the third power, right? We took away 1 here. So multiply by the exponent, take away 1, straight up power rule. Now I'm going to take the derivative of the inner function. So the inner function is this, right? So the derivative of that is going to be f prime, right? And then this 16x squared, we want to remember that can be rewritten as 16 over x squared can be written as 16x to the -2, right? And so if I use the power rule there, I'm going to get -2 times 16, which is -32, right? And then x to the -3rd power, right? Because I'm going to multiply, and then I'm going to take away 1, right? So it'll be x to the -3rd. But I'm just going to drop it. Since it's a negative exponent, I'm just going to drop it and keep it down here as x to the +3rd, right? Okay. And that'll just make it a little easier when we plug stuff in, I think, to leave it that way. All right, so now, so that's the chain rule, right? Derivative of the outer function multiplied by the derivative of the inner function. Don't forget these parentheses here. If you leave those out, that can end up in a wrong answer. So all right. So here's where we want to start plugging stuff in, right? We see that dy dx is -216 when x equals -2. So I'm going to put -216 in there, and then I'm going to put a -2 in wherever there's an x. Okay, and so what we'll end up with is -216 equals 4 times the quantity of f of -2 plus 16 times -2 squared, all cubed, times f primed at -2 minus 32 over -2 cubed. Okay. All right, so now I also know that f of -2 is -1, so I can put a -1 in here for this whole value, right? And then f primed at -2, that's what we're trying to find, right? So this is like the big question mark, right? That's like our variable. So we can think of that as just x, and we're solving for x, right? So I'm going to simplify around that and then try to get this by itself, okay? So the -216 on the left, that's fine the way it is. Then I'll plug in this -1 here, right? So then here I can simplify 16 over -2 squared. -2 squared is 4, so 16 over 4 is 4, right? Okay. F primed at -2, I don't know what that is. That's what we're trying to find, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. And then here we have 32 over -2 cubed. -2 cubed is -8. So -32 divided by -8 is +4. All right. So now I'm going to combine these values. So -1 plus 4 is 3, right? And so then we have 3 cubed. And so 3 cubed is 27. So it'll be, and I'll just kind of do this real quickly here. 4 times 3 cubed, so that'll be 4 times 27, which is 108, right? So I'm going to make this 108. So this whole thing turns into 108, right? So I just did that without having to write everything all over again. Just kind of did it on its own. So then I'm going to bring down this portion here. Okay, and here we can do a couple things. One thing you can do is distribute, and then add or subtract to both sides, and then divide. I'm going to choose the divide first. Sorry about the dogs there. So I'm going to divide first by 108. Okay, and so what happens is negative 216 divided by 108 is negative 2. And so then we get f primed at negative 2 plus 4. Okay, then we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Right, so we're just solving for this variable here, right, which is f primed at negative 2. And finally we get negative 6, so that's our answer for f primed at negative 2. Okay. Whew, so we did all that. A lot of work on this one. Let's zoom out a little bit here just to kind of see the full scope. So find the derivative of this function, right? We had to do a little chain rule here. Derivative of the outer function times the derivative of the inner function. Then we plug in all those, all our input values, and everything we know when x equals negative 2, or whatever that input is. And then once we plug in there, we also have f primed at negative 2, so we know that value, so we can put that in there. And then it's just basically simplifying and solving for the variable, right, on those next few steps.